This is Darwin, capital of the Northern Territory, and one of Australia's fastest growing cities. For over 20 years, Darwin has been generating its electricity using gas from the Amadeus Basin in Central Australia, travelling by pipeline in excess of 1,500 kilometres. This reserve, however, is coming to an end. Fortunately, almost 300 kilometres to the Territory's west, the E&I-owned Black Tip project became a viable source. The problem, though, was getting the gas to Darwin, and after discussions with APA, Power and Water Corporation signed a gas transportation agreement, and the decision was made to build a further pipeline.
This is a really important project for the Northern Territory because this pipeline will secure the Territory's energy supplies for the next 25 years. So this is about securing the energy future of the Northern Territory. It's also in a time where the world's talking about global warming. It's about our power generation through a really clean source, being gas that's got a carbon footprint of 40% less than coal, so it's really important environmentally. And also in terms of our economy, about $70 million available for local business. It's a real boost to the economy as well.
A pipeline, 287 kilometres in length, travelling through some of the toughest country in Australia. Vast, rugged and unforgiving. The bulk of the project to travel through country that has very limited access. The area that the pipeline was to be laid crossed Aboriginal freehold and pastoral lease properties. The terrain is rugged and includes major rivers and Indigenous sacred sites. Planning was the key to the success of this project.
We did some very serious risk assessments. We did some really good planning at the outset. We spent 3 months with the contractor, AJ Lucas, actually working through the risk and contingencies that we required for this job. So I think all in all, everybody had a very, very good idea of what they were letting themselves in for.
The project used a new construction strategy called early contractor involvement that allowed the construction contractor time to commence detailed planning of the works in 2007 in order that the weather risks of the Territory's wet season could be taken into consideration with all other risks effectively managed.
The early contractor involvement process was modified by us for this job. The modified approach resulted in us being able to get a price that was competitive in the marketplace. It was tested in the marketplace, but it was also honed, if you like, with the working together in the planning stage to allow us to formulate a better approach given the contractor's knowledge and given our own knowledge about the job. And in the end, I believe that we got a very efficient price and a very efficient outcome to the total turnout cost.
In March 2008, the project began in earnest. With such a large area to cover and a deadline of January 2009, APA set a goal of over 3 kilometres of pipeline to be laid every day. The project was divided into various stages and temporary construction camps were assembled to provide the necessary infrastructure to house the 300 workers.
We accommodate and feed the 300 person in a camp style of accommodation, And as we progress in the delivery of the project, we'll relocate the camp to the next location during the cycle break, so we've got very minimal impact on the production.
The pipes themselves were built in Wollongong, New South Wales. Each piece designed and built to a specific design specification. At 300mm in diameter and up to 18 metres in length, the pipes then travelled over 4,000 kilometres by sea into Darwin. To maintain the project timetable, 7 ships were used to deliver the pipes. Over 16,000 pipes were then unloaded in Darwin, stored and thoroughly tested for any damage that may have occurred in transport. Weighing over 15,000 tonnes in total, each pipe was individually examined before travelling on the back of special extendable trailers over 200 kilometres to the construction sites. By mid-May 2008, the project was officially launched by the Chief Minister Paul Henderson and the APA Group Managing Director Mick McCormack. By then, the team had already cleared 50 kilometres of the construction area. Clearing up to 35 kilometres ahead of the pipe stringing crew, the crews placed each pipe end-to-end along the construction corridor in preparation for the welding process. Each pipe is then individually set in place. Every pipe is moved, bent and welded. Apart from the difficult terrain and harsh working conditions, the team also had a number of milestones to achieve. At the more significant watercourses, Green Ant Creek, Daly River and Tom Turner's Creek, the pipe had to be laid under the watercourse by way of horizontal directional drilling, or HDD. In total, over 2,000 metres of pipe was directionally drilled, the longest being over 1,500 metres under the 2 Green Ant Creek tributaries.
HDD is horizontal directional drilling. It's a technology, a trenchless technology that's used usually to drill underneath crossings such as roads, rivers and environmentally sensitive areas. Take a boat trip up the Daly River and you will see you'll have no hint that there's a pipeline that's just crossed that river at all. It's the best way to ensure the protection of environmentally sensitive areas or getting across crossings that are difficult to traverse.
The environment is an important aspect of the project. With such a limited corridor to work in and strong rules regarding culturally significant sites, APA needed to make sure that they followed strict guidelines.
We actually had about 140 kilometres of this pipeline on Aboriginal freehold land. And we worked very hard with the Northern Land Council and the Parra Water Corporation to reach an agreement in the first 12 months of the project. So by sort of February, March 2007, we had an agreement with the Northern Land Council and the traditional owners to actually get across the Aboriginal Trust land. And we worked very well hand in hand on the job itself to make sure that the agreement was kept in check.
The project engaged a lands manager and lands officer to consult pastoral and Aboriginal stakeholders in the field to discuss and agree on solutions to manage and mitigate any impacts of the pipeline construction. Ensuring that a project of this size and in this remote location could be constructed safely, minimising harm to personnel working on the project and the general public, APA employed a dedicated safety manager to provide specialist advice to manage all safety issues. This included the development of the project rules of conduct, liquor policy and road use management plan.
Lucas and APA have a very strong commitment towards safety on this project. There are regular toolbox meetings every Sunday, which cover a wide range of topics that might be relevant for the coming week. The pre-start meetings, which also APA personnel are also involved in and take part in with the various crews on site. The safety throughout this job has been exemplary.
Careful planning and execution is what APA pride themselves in.
The project was completed nearly a month early and with an exceptional safety record for construction activities that ran over 9 months. This success is due to the people and the planning. It's a tribute to all those involved that they have delivered the project in one of the most difficult environments in this country. It's also a great achievement that the planning had considered every event and every possibility before the project, so that when it occurred, they were ready to take action.
With such a large project, with so many variables, APA have demonstrated that a project of this size can be done on time at a competitive cost.
Look, it really has been a cooperative partnership in terms of bringing this project into being and then the construction of the pipeline. And certainly there's been a project team in government working with the APA group on all the regulatory approvals, all the environmental approvals, and also a key aspiration for all of us, getting Indigenous participation in the workforce during construction. So it's been a cooperative effort, a real partnership, and a partnership that's really going to deliver for the Territory and our energy needs into the future.
There are two fundamentals to any successful infrastructure project. Firstly, very thorough planning, and secondly, this is followed up by first-class execution. And these are the hallmarks of the APA Group. As the 96% owner of NT Gas, APA has had a long involvement in the Northern Territory, and with the successful construction of the Bonaparte Gas Pipeline, we will look to increase our commitment in the Northern Territory. With the commissioning of the Bonaparte Pipeline bringing additional gas supplies into the Northern Territory, APA will look to further expand or develop additional pipeline infrastructure so that Territorians can enjoy the environmental benefits that natural gas-powered energy brings. The success of the Bonaparte Pipeline project was brought about by a partnership between all the major stakeholders, and this partnership focused on the enormous benefits that the project will bring to the Northern Territory. In this spirit of cooperation, the many obstacles and unplanned issues that arose during the project were settled in the most practical way by all concerned. Finally, on behalf of APA Group, I'd like to acknowledge the assistance from our partners that we received during the project, and in particular the Northern Territory Government, Power and Water Corporation, Northern Land Council, and our constructors AJ Lucas, who have delivered many projects for APA Group over the years.